when a horse does something like that. Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Ante Up with Dave and Matt once again. Unfortunately, for all you ticker fans out there, I basically just couldn't be asked to do it for this weekend. There wasn't enough juicy, notable entries for me to do it. I was going to do something like a feed for the current odds, but prices have been changing, been a bit of a ball ache. So this week you have to do without. They will be back for next week, though. We'll be looking at a Christmas period there where there'll be loads of big name entries. Anywho, you're not here to listen to me waffle about that. You're here to listen to me waffle about what's happened last week, what's going to happen next week, and some Antepost tips or selections, I suppose is the best way of saying it. So I'm going to pipe down for a bit now. Matt is going to run us through the previous action because he's better than I am, and I'm a snob. I don't look at all the races, to be fair. Well, I look at them all just in case anyone's out there saying I'm a part-timer. I do watch them all. It's just for talking about them, I try and just look at the graded stuff. I'm a bit of a snob by that front. Anywho, I said I was going to stop talking. Matt, run through what's happened and then let me talk about some bits if you want every now and again. I'm here if you need me, FYI.
Okay, mate. Yeah, I suppose Boot Hill won his novice hurdle really nicely. Thought that was quite impressive, and definitely put himself in the frame for a Supreme or a Ballymore. He's still 25-1 for the Supreme, which I thought he might have been a bit short than that, but yeah, really impressed with that. I don't know what you thought of that, Dave. Yeah,
it was pretty impressive. He looks a really nice type. I know someone that's got a couple of horses with Fry, and I think he knows the owner, and I think he has got a bit of a leg issue, which he's medicated for. Doesn't mean that he's not a welding. Doesn't mean that he can't run on it. They did say that the owner wouldn't be fussed where it went, to be honest, but I think they are leaning towards the Supreme, so at least that's a bit of info, if you like, on it. But yeah, I like him. I think he's a really nice horse. I just worry slightly about him with a bit of an underlying niggle, but he's definitely got ability, isn't he?
Yeah, no, I liked it. Mr. Fisher in the Peterborough Chase as well, back on track. Won't be blown away by it. Won't be a Ryanair horse for me, but at least he was back on track. I don't know what you think, Dave, but he won't be a Ryanair challenger for me still.
Not in the slightest. It was a pretty intriguing Peterborough Chase. The fact that it was revamped back at Cheltenham, and it made me feel like it was between Klashnikov and Fanny and D'Estrevaux. Mr. Fisher obviously did go and win the race. I don't know whether him or Fanny and D'Estrevaux would have won if that one stood up, but that one didn't stand up. Just from the thinking of the Ryanair stuff from an Antepost perspective, obviously treat Mr. Fisher in isolation, but Fanny and D'Estrevaux not even quoted for a Ryanair. Fanny and D'Estrevaux would have got at least close to him. I think that just tells you all you need to know about Mr. Fisher's chance for Ryanair. Like, he's not a Ryanair horse.
No, I agree. Fanny and D'Estrevaux just don't jump well enough for me, and like I said, that probably then has another knock on that form for Mr. Fisher. So nice win, but take it for what it is. That was it for me.
Yeah.
Captain Guinness, nice to see him back after his heart issues at Punchestown. Jumped really well. Not sure Shush going to be quivering in his boots quite yet. Need to see him again, but nice to see him back on the track.
Yeah, and obviously him and Unaccepted were supposed to face off in that race before, but he finished. So it'd be nice to see them two go up in probably a better graded race now and see if they can, confirm the place and see what's going to happen.
Yep, I fancy Unaccepted, I think, against Captain Guinness. The Bangor Doyle, I suppose, deserves a mention, even if it's just to boost the Gerhard's form. Again, among a few others as well, Hollow Games as well, didn't he? But yeah, I think the Bangor Doyle's a nice horse, and Segard absolutely spanked him, so worth mentioning.
Definitely. Well, and obviously I know we're doing the review part of it, but Segard comes up in a listed bumper this week, doesn't he? So that'll be interesting to see what he does. And you've mentioned Hollow Games today. It's a horse that I quite like for bumperish, but we're not talking about that. What we're doing for the review, anything else that came up? There was a couple of other ones at Cheltenham I reckon we need to mention.
Yeah, Chantry House was so disappointing. That's the thing. I suppose that's probably overshadowed Foozle Raffles a little bit for me. But he just never looked that comfortable, Chantry House. Slow away from his fences. A step up in trip maybe, but you can always put a line through him for me over fences. I wonder if they might try and back over hurdles, Dave, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I feel like for the first half of the race he looked like okay, maybe a bit noisy. Second half of the race, I just didn't feel like he was really in it anymore. The fact that Fusels went and won it, he's one of my horses to follow, and I said when he steps up in trip he'd be more interested as well. That's not a worldly opinion, that's just almost fact in it. When you have these juveniles, when they step up a little bit the next turn, they look a bit better. Makes me wonder how slow the ground was at Cheltenham, though, because I don't think Fusels does really want it soft. So I've got a bit of a question mark around the official going from Cheltenham for that reason. But maybe it just proves that Fusel does handle slower ground. But yeah, Chantry House was definitely disappointing. There was talk before the race, wasn't there? Because he had an entry over the 3 mile race as well. That would be an RSA horse. So I'm sure people that latched onto that one will be rubbing their hands together the fact that he got beat, because they'll say that he's now an RSA contender. But there's obviously the likeness that would obviously, we talked about it before, of like to a champ because of the JP McManus stuff and those sort of things. Champ can make mistakes and get beat. Can make mistakes and win the race, and then obviously goes on to win an RSA. Something like Chantry House makes those mistakes and gets like well beaten outside. You'd have to be quite brave to forgive him, I think. And I quite liked him. I thought he could be a potential decent novice chaser. So whether there was something amiss that day or things were just happening a bit too fast for him, I'm like you though. I'm quite happy just to put a line for him for the rest of the season for the time being. I know that sounds a bit harsh, but you've got to, haven't you?
It makes you look back on his debut as well. I think would he have won if Nicholas Hoss?
Nick Pastor had tried.
No.
Oh no, that was shitting.
Pick Dory. If Pick Dory had stayed on his feet, whether he'd have won, makes you question that as well, doesn't it? So, but yeah, I'd probably put a line through Chantry House. Sky Pirate was impressive, but it's his first try at 2 miles though, wasn't it? So it's have they been getting the trip wrong all this time? He's a bit of a rogue. I don't know. Maybe a Grand Annual horse. It was impressive, but you'd want to see him again. Are they going to protect his mark now, though? So I don't know. What do you make of Sky Pirate? Yeah, we got a healthy hike, didn't he? So they'll probably have to try and do bits of that. But he's always been a horse that's threatened. Like, I love him. Like you say, lovable rogue, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I mean, I was annoyed that he went and won as comfortably as he did, because I just didn't think he had it in him. I thought if he was going to win a race, a bit like a single farm payment, you'd have to time it bang on. So yeah, definitely raises question marks about the trips they've been trying him at. And on the basis of that effort, you are right to be thinking about something like a Grand Annual. The one caveat I put with that is Zanza, if he'd have stood up, how close he would have got to make it competitive. And I'd also be worried about Sky Pirate in a finish, regardless of whether it was the trip that was the problem before. Just think he's got that bit of doggedness about him. But it's the way to look at those sort of races. Again, me being graded snobbish, I wouldn't have even talked about Sky Pirate, but I do like him, to be fair. Chatham Street lad, really impressive. I suppose he's one I'm in danger of probably underplaying a bit, because he wasn't really on my radar for a marsh before, but he's done it so easily. And Midnight Shadow has some decent form. He was 6th in a marsh last year, don't forget. And yeah, I don't know. He's probably not going to give NY Island any nightmares, but I thought that was impressive from Chatham Street lad.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know about him. It's the Irish handicappers that come over and they pick up these races and all that sort of stuff. Like whether his mark was just so good that he ran off, which is why he was so impressive. But yeah, he would definitely be one that just look at it and just think, I feel like a mug for not backing him at the weekend, as opposed to thinking of him for anything future. I feel like missed the boat on him, gone now, done with it. But then again, I'm a snob, and
that's sort of how I feel. But then you sort of think, are you underplaying him just because of the way you felt before the race? But I don't know. We probably got it right.
Obviously, we got it right. Obviously.
Hopefully.
Anyone else?
We've got to mention the international hurdle, haven't we? Goshen, I suppose that's in line through him as well, isn't it? And the race just, the omission of hurdles is one thing, but it just makes me think there's nothing this side of the water that's going to worry Epitant, and possibly not the other side of the water either, but definitely not in the UK. There's nothing that can get near to Epitant, and any challenge is going to have to come from Ireland.
And again, I feel like Silver Street, the fact that he ran on and got so close to Song for Someone, and I feel like he was a bit unlucky in the race. Again, the ground to me can't have been that bad for him to run the way that he did. Goshen, again, the popular thing at the minute, the heart stuff in it. It's been around for ages, but not with him. I just mean in general, like the Denman Sprint Sacras and stuff like that have had it. Maybe they're just doing more checks. Maybe it's before it wasn't something they'd look at, whereas now maybe they're checking a bit more. I was never in the Goshen camp last season. He would have won a triumph, so I got him wrong. And I was never going to be in his camp for this season. I don't know. Like they could explain what he's done before, but come on, people, you've got to stop at some point. Now, I know obviously he's up to a massive price now. That's when I feel like it's good money after bad. Like, if he's had an issue like this, I can't see why they would be rushing to put him into a proper, really like hard races after this, when there's other races that he might be able to go in if they were thinking that way for this season, or whether maybe they might just think, do you know what, he's had the couple of runs on the flat disappointed, the run over hurdles hasn't gone to plan, just give him a break till next season. He's only a babby, and we've seen plenty of horses do it after their juvenile campaign, and Defi was pants the season after. Defi had an issue, so of people thinking of backing him for a champion hurdle, I think it's absurd.
No, agreed. I'd do the same. I'd probably write off this season and give him a break and see how he comes back the following season.
Retire him. There's a couple. You probably still got some more to say, but I've got to jump in.
Go on.
Alan King, I said on, I can't remember what episode it was, probably multiple episodes, where I moaned about him as a type of trainer. Mezid is oboe today.
Yeah.
Quite I don't know if poignant's really the right word with it, but he's like that Neptune that he was third in. Willoughby Court, the late Willoughby Court's past. Neon Wolf in second's past. He's in there. Ken Boy was back in fifth. Like, it was a proper race, and we've been having those stars taken away. Like, in theory, your Willoughby Courts and your Neon Wolves, we could be talking about them now as Gold Cup or Ryanair contenders. We were sort of starved of those horses because of it. So it's nice to see him come back. But that's like a hell of a training performance. I do feel like Adam Wedge let Jacob go a little bit too far in front today, tactically, to go and do it. Do we now feel like, out of the fire, Mezid as oboe at the age that he is, considering he was third in the Ballymore all those years ago, potentially, although he's had the niggles, could be a bit more forward? Do you reckon he could now make into a proper novice chaser? Or do you reckon, for the fact that he had such a layoff and bits and pieces, would you just forget about him or want to see him a couple more times maybe?
The layoff. I mean, I say the layoff would concern me. What he's done today is impressive, in it, but I would want to see him again before I'm putting him in that bracket of a festival contender, to be honest with you.
Fair enough. And then the other one that I definitely want to mention is Take Tea.
Yeah.
Willie Mullins' filly that went and won. She was like super keen on Antepost. She had the tongue tie on. You could see her tongue hanging out the side of her mouth with it as well. She was keen all the way down. She was fairly keen throughout the whole of the race. Even towards the end of the race, like, she was pulling to the line. Mm-hmm. She would have gone round again. I know there's like depth of race, and you're looking at the horses they've won against. There was a horse that was 150s on its last start that was 7.5 to 1 to beat the other day. So from a scale perspective, she didn't really beat anything. But it's just the manner of when a horse does something like that. I was proper blown away. But I would go as far as to say that's the most impressive bumper performance I've seen this season. Sega Harvard was obviously good. Hollow Games I was pretty impressed with. I touched them a little bit before, but yeah, this one I'm letting it settle down a little bit after, because sometimes you can get a bit too excited, can't you? The price is going to stay around about where the price is now. We'll see what happens, whether she gets sold, whether they're going to run Cheltenham. Obviously, they've got Brandy Love as well, where the hints of that sound that they're going to keep her to mares bumpers. And they said about festival bumpers as well. I wonder whether something like the Aintree mares bumper would be so more for Brandy Love as opposed to Cheltenham. I feel like this Take Tea was just ultra impressive, so definitely need to mention.
Definitely, and the fact that she was so keen, you can probably mark it up again. But I thought Brandy Love was impressive too. But I thought Take Tea was the more impressive of the two. But like you say, until we know A, if she's being sold, B, what a target's going to be, it's probably best to keep powder dry at the minute with that. Yeah,
I think so. Right, anything else to review before we get into the juicy stuff that the people want?
Nope.
Right, so this weekend coming up, decent stuff at Ascot, long walk hurdle, hopefully the rematch of Time Hill Paisley. I'm going to say it now, I worry whether Time Hill, if it's really bad ground and there's more rain coming, if it's a proper bog, whether Time Hill will dodge it. But hey, we'll find out, I guess. Paisley's not going to dodge it this year. Emma Lavelle's already said that he came out the race better than he did last year. There's some decent other like supporting races as well. We touched on the racing at in Ireland on the Saturday or Friday at Navan with a listed bumper. There's some nice stuff there. Sunday's quiet in Ireland for the weekend, but on Sunday there is a couple of nice races there. I'm struggling to talk about anything coming up this weekend without dropping some clangers. So should we just get on with it?
Yeah, let's get on with it. Yeah, let's rock and roll.
Boom. So I feel like, I don't know who should go first. How many have you got this week?
2.
Well, I'm going in for 2. I'm going to go in for 2. I'm going to do both mine first. What the people want.
Yeah.
So I've got like there was a handful that I could have potentially mentioned, put up all that sort of stuff, and that's where with this type of show it's slightly tricky for me. Not making excuses, well, I am a little bit slightly tricky for me because I'm whittling it down to something to say to you guys. This is it, and I know that obviously you're your own people. You can do what you want, but as a responsible adult, and knowing what people are like, I know that if I mention a horse, a lot of you are probably just going to back it off the say-so. So again, it's your decision. Just because I say it, don't necessarily do it. And I also feel like if I mentioned the other ones and then whittled it down to which I was going to put up, it makes them sound like I fancy them even more. So waffle too much. One that I really like, I think it's a smart bet this time of year as well. Another one that's a little bit punty, but again, I think it's probably like the price and all that sort of stuff is worth chance, and I think it's quite good. So the smart, sensible bet is for the Mares Novice Hurdle. It's Gauloise for Willie Mullins, Kenneth Alexander. So impressive in a maiden hurdle. Again, it was just against the girls, so you'd need to see what she does after. But she's the sort of type that Willie Mullins is going to do well with. She's a Mares Novice, isn't she? Kenneth Alexander obviously loves the Mares programme, wants to win in those spheres. Manila Melody didn't go there last year. I just wonder whether he's thought, I want to win the Mares Novice Hurdle, I'm going to send one to Willie Mullins. But she was impressive. Her jumping was really good. She's due to run on Sunday, hopefully. Hookup's entered in there as well. The pair of those have entered in the Future Champion Novices, 2 mile over Christmas. She's going to be seen at some point. The Mares Hurdle race that was run in the week, what was the name of it? Delvino one with Adam Short on board. I wasn't as impressed as what other people are making out about the race. I feel like Castroverte and other ones that are in there looked like it was a nice race on paper, but I actually think it probably makes them all look a little bit below par. Hookup that I mentioned ran in the Mares Novice Hurdle last year, I think, or the Albert Bartlett. It ran somewhere at Cheltenham last year, so it's entitled to be further forward, so she was allowed to be visually impressive. When we look at it, she wears it well. Another Willie Mullins one, Syndicate horse. Where she goes before Christmas or before Cheltenham, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't know. I don't think at the beginning of the season they thought she was a Mares Novice Hurdle winner. Princess Zoe's obviously not going hurdling. Gypsy Island we're never going to see. Hookup I've just mentioned, there was entitled to be further forward. Then you get to Gauloise, 12-1 with the general price you can get there with plenty of bookies. I think is more than fair. I can only see that shortening up. The Glancing Queen for Alan King I like. 2 times in the bumper. Again, entitled to be more forward. Her win came over a lot further. So I've already said about Delvino, I don't particularly like it. So we're getting to the point where there's just nothing in there of any worthy mention, I don't think. Gauloise goes up for the Mares Novice Hurdle, 12-1.
Very good. Can't argue with that, mate.
Okay, well, if you think that one's good, then buckle up, boy, because I don't even know if I can say this out loud. The next selection, this is tough, runs in the Fox Hunters. Of all the races to pitch up at this time of year, I know, but the Down Royal meeting that was on St. Stephen's Day, Boxing Day for us, has been brought forward. It runs this Thursday. Billaway ran in it last year, was beaten, obviously was beaten in the Cheltenham Fox Hunters again. He isn't the horse that I will be putting up for the Cheltenham Festival for the Fox Hunters proper. It is Alone Among Millions is going in. Now, this horse, I wasn't really sure if he was going to be coming into the big Fox Hunters this season because fairly lightly raced, running a Hunter's Chase at Gowran, I think it was, back end of last season, so the end of spring. And there was a bit of comment after where they were just saying they're not thinking about big festival Fox Hunters. And I guess they were talking about that, like at the time they weren't thinking about that. I took it a bit more like, well, is he going to be saved for another couple of seasons before he goes for it? Anywho, got the entry against Billaway this Thursday. It's a 2 mile 5.5, so about 2 mile 6. Both these horses want the trip. Both the horses will I say both the horses. Billaway wants slower ground, I think. They both handle everything, but Alone Among Millions will handle anything like better. So I don't think it has a real preference for ground. It's just so impressive in the way that it wins its races. Even that Gowran Park race that it won, it was just so good. I think he's too big a price, like way too big a price. I imagine that what's going to happen on Thursday is Billaway, because he was eye-catching in defeat the last day, will be priced at favourite. Alone Among Millions is going to be backed, and I wonder whether he might even be backed into favourite for the Thursday because I think Billaway wants further anyway. And then when that happens, you're talking about a race where they're either about the same price or Alone Among Millions is actually fav, and then one's 16 to 1 for the Fox Hunters and the other one's 7 to 1 for the Fox Hunters. Now, I do think that Billaway is going to step forward from what he did last year, has the course form. It's a nice thing now for Fox Hunters horses to place and then go in to run well. Seen plenty of them do it in the past. I just wonder, like, I know it's stupid to say, but how strong that Fox Hunters was last year. Billaway should be able to improve for it, but he's a bit too short a price for me. So all of that thing said, Alone Among Millions is going in. I think he'll beat Billaway on Thursday, or at least I hope he does, because it makes the bet look better. If he doesn't, I still wouldn't be writing him off. I feel like I mentioned Billaway was second in this race last year. It came to pass that one, it was back in 7th. So if he got beat, it's not the end of the world. And I still feel like if he gets to the festival, which he hopefully will do, he's not going to be any bigger than he is now. I just wonder with something like a Billaway, which I know probably has got a favourites chance, maybe his price might go out a bit before the festival. But anyway, Alone Among Millions has got a sea of blue on odds checker. So I didn't just put him in for that, I promise you. Me and Matt were messaging him in the week about this one. 16 to 1 top price with multiple bookies now. Betfair Paddy Power. So you've got the cash out options with it. I wouldn't really be looking to play him with a cash out option unless he was absolutely woeful on Thursday. But his form looks solid to me. I'm happy to put him in, to be honest with you. And that might be a race that I could throw a couple of darts in as it goes, but we'll see how good he is on Thursday. If he bolts up, then we're in the money. So they're my 2 for this week.
Very good, mate. Yeah. Fox Hunter's not my favourite race in the world, so I'll leave that one to you for now, but yeah.
I mean, it is now. I've just given you a 16 to 1 winner. What more do you want? Jesus. Right. I've said more than enough this episode. If anyone's still watching, thank you very much. Subscribe. Matt's coming up now. Matt, boom. Tell me what sphere, or don't you know what? Let's just get straight in with it. You've got 2. Which is your strong? Have you got a strong fancy and then an okay fancy, or both of them bomb-proof?
I suppose Dusat is my stronger fancy. Just because I've nearly put him up several times already, and I've mentioned him over and over to you. But yeah, I just think he was really impressive in beating Soaring Glory on Hurdle's debut. And it was just even more impressive for the fact that that's the first time he's seen a race course without running in point to points, running bumpers, and how revved up they were getting at the start around him when no one wanted to take the lead. And he's cool as a cucumber when he's got every chance to be keen. His jumping was fine first time out without being electric. But it was his reaction to pressure at the end of the race that really impressed me, to be honest with you. Got a couple of flicks off Nico as he after he jumped the last, and his reaction was immediate, and then went away again when asked. And that was against Soaring Glory, who had the benefit of a run, even though he was getting Dusat was getting weight from Soaring Glory. So yeah. you could say obviously the fact he was getting weight, maybe you can mark it down, but the fact that Soaring Glory had the run, I think that more than negates that. That form looks really solid as well to me, with Soaring Glory previously beating Brave Man's Game, who'd gone on to win impressively twice over 2 miles and 2.5 miles. And then Soaring Glory looked like he was going to cruise to victory, didn't he, before falling the last day. So, yeah, and Nico and Nicky were really positive on him afterwards. Nico said he's as nice a young horse he's ridden for a long time. So, really impressed with that. The reason he's gone up this week is obviously because he's got the entry in the Kennel Gate this week. And I'm actually going to put him up any race if you're going to allow me, Dave, this week. He's 12 to 1. I think he'll go Supreme. I'm 80% sure he'll go Supreme, but he's 12 to 1 any race with Sky Bet, and he's 14 to 1 for the Supreme. So, I mean, if you can get on with Sky Bet, that's the way I'd play it, 12 to 1 any race. If not, I'd take the 14 to 1 for the Supreme. Okay,
yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, we'll allow you to have that because, again, we're talking about this. We're not saying to everyone exactly what you physically have to do. We're making a suggestion on it. I wouldn't let you have it if he was 12 to 1 any race and he was 8 to 1 everywhere else. But it's not the way that it is. But yeah, so I think he'll go Supreme. That Kennel Gate, Nicky Henderson sends them there to the Supreme. He I've done it with a couple of horses in the past. So
Claiming Taken Fog and Lammy Surgival won it and then gone on to the Supreme Ante. So you think there's probably not many scenarios where he runs in the Kennel Gate and then ends up a challenger for the Ballymore. But for 2 points, it's probably not worth the risk.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll stick him in as that. Yeah, that's a fair shout, mate. And honestly, when Matt said that we've been talking about this for a while, literally the first episode, we had to record it about 4 times because he just, every now and again, he'd just do something like he had a tick. I mean, to be honest with you, mate, I can't disagree with the Newbury stuff. Like, I like it. And I feel as well, much as we talk about like the Irish being mob-handed and all that sort of stuff, something like Dusat for a Supreme, something like Brave Man's Game for Ballymore, we have got probably fighting chances of those. Whether we've got much else, not really too sure, but be really interested to see what he does on Friday. So I like it. Am I going to like your next one though, Matt? That's the thing. You've never pleased me twice in this show.
sounds wrong, but yeah, probably not. But the second one is Bob Ollinger for the Ballymore. It was another one who's been on the shortlist for a while, and now's the time probably to put him up with his. He's got entries again this week, over 2 miles and 2.5. But it was an easy win over a point-to-point over 3 miles, and then made his debut for Henry de Bromhead in a bumper over 2 mile 2, where he was really impressive 10-length winner. The ground was fairly testing there, and then he made his hurdle debut last month over 2 miles against Fernie Hollow, where the pair pulled absolutely miles clear, didn't they? And he was just done for a turn of foot by Fernie Hollow, who knows a fairly a quick horse, isn't he? For my money, Rachel Blackmore had tried to get Fernie revved up, hadn't she? I know you don't necessarily agree with that, but I think she definitely tried to see if Fernie was going to do what he did last year, and a slow pace would maybe get him too keen. Which probably in the end, with Fernie settling fine, played into Fernie Hollow's hands, and didn't make it quite the test of the stamina that might have been more suited to Bob Ollinger. The Ballymore market now, with Appreciate It so short, you look down that list and you've got Fernie Hollow and Ballyadam, who are probably both going to go supreme. Then Brave Man's Game I do quite like, but it's probably similar to Bob Ollinger in being beaten over 2 miles before, looking better over further. And I think hopefully Bob Ollinger takes up the 2.5 mile race this week and looks the same, looks more impressive over the step up in trips. So yeah, Bob Ollinger. Ballymore.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. You're making a good case for him, to be fair. One thing I just need to mention on the Ballymore is Appreciate It. Like, I love the horse. Remember, this doesn't mean that stats are the be-all and end-all, but 7-year-olds in the Ballymore champ, there was one little while back, they just come second, like as good as they're going to get. Not saying that will definitely happen with Appreciate It, and I do like the horse. But
that is the thing. You feel like you're sort of putting it down and that you don't like Appreciate It. I think Appreciate It's a really, really nice horse.
Oh, yeah.
But the 7-year-old start is a big one. And he's short enough now, and he's probably always been that little bit short. If you didn't get on in the pre-season, then you've got to try and find something.
I feel as well with it, like it's even the 6-year-olds that run in a bumper, that like even the ones that don't win it, like what they do after that, like none of them really scale the heights that potentially you think like they might be able to. So like I do like Appreciate, don't get me wrong, but I do feel like the fact that he's taken up such a chunk of the market now, there are horses at bigger prices. I've been trying to look at the race to try and find one to get stuck into. There's a few on my shortlist. Bob Ollinger, the tactical thing, I'll just say my piece on it because no one wants to hear it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Do what you want, it's my channel. I'm not convinced that it was as tactical as like you're suggesting. It's not just you suggesting, lots of people are saying the same thing, and there's a good chance that you guys are probably right. I don't see the benefit of a horse going over hurdles to try and play tactical games with another horse. Like, I know like potentially you could get him beat, but who cares if you beat him or not on that day? It's about seeing what your horse can do. If the conspiracy theories are correct and he's thrown away the race for 2 miles and got that close to Fernie Hollow, then Bob Ollinger is the best horse on the planet by absolute miles. Like, that performance would need to be upgraded like by 10, 20 lengths if tactically what they were trying to mess about doing ruined his chances. I feel like they might have tactically done something I feel like Bob Ollinger's probably a versatile horse. Like, I don't think it affected his performance. They might have tried tactically to go a bit slower just to see what they could do to Fernie, but Fernie handled it. Bob Ollinger got beat by the horse. In my head, Fernie Hollow is just a better horse than Bob Ollinger. But fair play to you. He's 20-1 top price with Bet365. So all you Bet365ers out there, you can have that. But I'm sorry, Matt, you're getting 16s on there because we want it to be with multiple bookmakers. So again, just for fairness, I'm ripping you off for a few points, but hey ho, it's a friendly show.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
Hopefully, with Bob Ollinger as well, like hopefully, I think that is a fairly solid shout. And the timing of when we're putting these up now, because it's getting closer to Christmas, because there's better races coming up, they're going to be coming up thick and fast. We'll have multiple selections probably for next week, and then we're going to do something in between Christmas and New Year. So 2 for this week for me is Gal Louise for the Mares Novice Hurdle and Alone Among Millions in the Fox Hunters. Your 2 were?
Deuce Out for for any race, and Bob Ollinger for the Ballymore.
But if you can't get on with Sky Bet or you can't get a reasonable bet, then get on with the Bet365. Do you think, just saying it, that you get 14-1 with cash out, does that not tempt you more than the any race concession because of the fact that you could cash?
I suppose it
doesn't matter.
It is tempting. It is tempting, but in this format, I suppose, yeah. If I was 100% guaranteed that he was going to go for the Supreme, you could play it either way, mate. To be fair, I think he probably will be aimed at the Supreme, but for 2 points, the any race market is probably for this format the way I'd go. But if you prefer the cash out, the Supreme is a fair price at 14-1.
So we're going to stick him up for any race, and I sort of agree with that sort of stuff because I know we can think about there could be an injury, might be able to cash some stuff out. You have to, from an Antepost perspective, as much like I'd rather back with cash out if there wasn't like as much variance and all those bits and pieces, or if there was a massive significant variance. But you can't go through your season thinking, oh, this horse might get injured, that horse might get injured. Like we all know that across our book, probably some of them will, which is why we like to have lots of the cash out options. But again, in this format, the way we're talking about it is the value's there to back him any race, although you sacrifice the cash out part of it. I'd semi-agree with Matt on that. It's the same as when I put Fernie up for Supreme. I could have had him any race around like a point shorter and all those sort of things. It's not, there's no like hard and fast rules of it. They're just the selections we're putting up. You play them however you want to play them. So that is it for episode 6. Let us know down below what you fancy, what things have been catching your eyes out, because there's been some good feedback in there. I think over the Christmas period as well, we'll do a bit of a question stuff from people that are putting things in there, because I get a few things that get sent to me. We'll see how many of them ramp up, but probably not for the next episode, definitely not for the episode after, because we'll be tearing up for Christmas. But the first one we do in the new year, maybe we'll do something about questions from people, or we'll ask them somewhere in the new year. Basically, I'm going to give you guys a voice to start telling us about things, because there'll be so much action coming thick and fast. There'll be more to talk about than we're going to be able to squeeze into a reasonable sized video. So that's us for this week. Thank you for your time, Matt.
Thank you, mate. No worries.
And subscribe to the channel, please, people, because 70% of you that watch my videos aren't subscribed. And I don't mind if you want to do it, but once I get to 1,000, I can do the live content, and we haven't got to do this stupid Zooming anymore. So do me a favour. No one's watching this far. If you are, please subscribe.